Howdy, how are you doing today? We are going to get started in just a minute. Just give it a couple minutes and let it propagate and let people know that we're here. Hopefully, you guys are all having a smashing Wednesday. Hey, April, how are you doing? Good to have you on. Happy Wednesday. Is your Wednesday going good? My, all day I had planned on going to the eye doctor and getting my glasses adjusted, and they just keep falling off my nose. Didn't make it today. We're just going to give it about a minute and then we're going to get started because I do not want to keep you guys on for the full hour today, but I have a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. Yes, happy Wednesday. We had a member a couple of years ago who had like a saying for every day of the week. Yeah, I'm having a good day. It's been a good day. I've got a lot accomplished today, so I'm super excited about it. I've almost drank my intake of water for the day, so that's really good. I'm really trying to get back to drinking half my weight in water. That's a lot of water. Are you? I'm excited about this live too. I was looking over my notes today and I was like, I could probably do a full couple hours on websites. That's my shtick. Got a few people on. Say hi as you come on. Let us know that you're out there. And for those that catch us in the replay, do not forget to push hashtag replay so I know that you're there. Hey, Traylin, nice to have you on. Welcome. How many of you guys are new? This is your first live that you've attended. Put in the comments new so I can give you some extra warm welcome for actually commenting so that I know that you're there. Like to also have my phone because awesome. Hey, Michael, good to have you on. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started as people join. We've got so much to talk about today. This is a juicy topic. I love this topic. Websites, right? So, before I get started, I always like to set the stage and see where everybody in the audience who's listening is. Like, where are you in your own journey for whatever the topic is? So, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and if it's is you, I'm gonna give you some pointers, and I'm gonna want you to put in the comments, what I ask you to put, so I know that I'm talking to you specifically. So, who on the live right now has their own website? And when I mean own website, it is your own domain. You are not renting it from someone else. You're not using your host agency. How many on the phone have their own domain locked up? Put me. Just put in the comments I do, or me. Put me. If you don't, put a 0. If you don't have your own domain, put 0. I want to get a gauge for how many people on this live actually have their own domain or are using someone else's domain. So let me tell you how you know if you're using someone else's domain. It has your name and it says somebody else's company.com. It doesn't have your company name in it. If that is you, then you need to put a 0. If you have your own company name, your name of your business is, troylin.com and you got it, then put me. If you don't, put 0. I want to get a feel for how many online today have their own website and those that don't. Okay. And for those that have their own website, I'm going to have some tidbits for you at the end, but I'm mostly talking to zeros right now. So people who don't have their own website. So if you're watching this in the replay, I'm really talking to those people who either have not procured their own domain or they don't have a website. Maybe you've got your own domain, but you haven't released it. But if you don't have your own domain, let's identify. So we have a couple of me's, we have a few zeros. Okay, so that gives me a good idea of who I'm talking to. So if you're just joining, what we're trying to identify is how many of you have your own website. All right, so somebody just said, I just recently ended my website with Extreme. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Extreme is your host agency. I don't know if that's a host agency or not. There's so many, I just can't keep up with them all. But again, this is how you know if you have your own website. It doesn't have somebody else's company name in it. So it's not your name .company, .hostagency.com. That's not your own website, okay? If you have that, you need to put a 0. If you have your travel agency's name in a URL, then you should put me. If you don't, then you need to put 0. Okay. So even the fact that we're having this sort of confusion as to what is mine and what is not is a thing for us to get cleared up. So for today's conversation, who I'm talking to today are those people who don't have their own website. Their website was provided by their host agency, or maybe they're using some, there's software that I'll sign up for. For example, I use Thinkific, and Thinkific has when you use their site, they give you a domain, right? So you can use the name of the company, and it's marketingbossacademy.thinkific.com, right? That's still not mine. That's not mine, right? Marketingbossacademy.com is mine. SundeyGardner.com is mine, right? So the fact that you may have your name of your business affiliated with someone else's company, I'm talking to you today, right? You're not really able to control the look and feel. Maybe they give you a couple of tools for you to manage the layout. Maybe you can, if it's a robust tool, most of the host agencies don't allow you to put your own sort of pixel ID on there or tracking code so that you can track your traffic, right? You don't really have a lot of control around the layout. Maybe you can change some colors, but you really don't have control, right? If it goes up or it goes down, it's out of your control, right? I'm talking to you. If you're not able to put very specific offers on there, like pop-ups or the banner, you can't change how that looks and feel, and you can't really control the structure. I'm talking to you today, okay? And the reason why that this is such an important topic is what the whole purpose of today's live is. So today, if any of those things sound like you, then you're in the right space today. Now, if you've answered me and you have your own domain, maybe you don't have it published, or you do have it published, stick with me to the end, because I will be talking to you guys about what kind of content you should have, what the purpose of your website is, and what you need to do it. All right. So today is all things website, why you need to have your own website. And if you don't have it, why you need to get your own domain and then publish at least a one pager. And we'll talk about that today. So today is all about why you need to have a website in your travel business. All right. So before we dig into the why, let's talk about what is the purpose of a website. Because many of you may be even confused. Maybe you think, oh, a website is for me to throw up on and tell everybody about all the packages I have, right? It's, what are some of the thoughts that you have that you think a website for? So put in the comments, what do you think the number one purpose of a website is? Tell me what you think. So this is going to be pretty interactive, because I'm going to give you 3 main purposes of what a website is, but I want to see what you guys feel. So you guys, a lot of people are replying to me, so that's good. A lot of you have your own website, have your own domain, and that's great. I'm super excited about that, because those of you that do not, I want to make sure that you immediately change that after today's conversation. All right, so what I'm looking for is, what is the purpose of a website, right? What do you think the purpose of a website is? It's a pretty simple purpose, but many people don't know what it is. They don't understand what it is. April says to direct traffic. That is correct. Exposure. Tanika says exposure. That's right. What else do you guys think it is? For leads. That's right. That's right. Those are all great answers. And so let me tell you three main purposes for what your website is. Your first purpose of a website is for you to introduce yourself to strangers, right? People come to your website because they either found you through some organic search or you led them there, right? By you're paying for traffic for people to come to your website, or they found you, maybe they were referred to you. But the number one reason for some you to have a website is to introduce yourself to strangers, right? It is for you to be able to say, hi, you're in the right space. You are in the right place. You want this, and I am your solution for that. That is your number one purpose for your website. So if you have a website that you think is yours and you can't control that message, right? Maybe there's a bunch of stuff on it and it's trying to get people to buy and it's trying to do all this stuff. No, number one purpose for your website is to introduce yourself to strangers and to let them know that they're in the right space. So you want that home page not to be confusing. You want that message to ring out. You're in the right space, right? I know who you are. I am your solution, right? So number one purpose for your website is to introduce yourself to stranger. The number two reason for your website is for you to operate it as your central hub for your organization. So that is the one place that everybody comes to get that they know they can get whatever they need to get about you, right? So it's your central hub, right? Facebook is not yours. Instagram's not yours. Your host agency's website is not yours. Your third-party software website that gives you some URL associated with them is not yours, right? Your website is yours, and it is the central location of all that is you and is your business. And then the third reason to do a website is to perform a transaction, right? It is for you to be able to perform some sort of sale or conversion transaction, right? You either want to capture an email, you want to actually collect money, maybe you want to schedule a discovery call, maybe you want to get you want them to read your blog, right? It's to conduct a transaction, right? So that's the only three reasons that you have a website, right? But the major reason that is control, right? So I don't know how many of you guys are control freaks. Like I'm a super control freak, particularly when it comes to my brand, right? When it comes to SundeyGardner.com, I am like psychotic. Everything has got to be exactly the way I want it. And it has to speak to who I am, right? Down to the pictures, down to the colors, everything speaks to the Sundey Gardner brand, right? When my team puts together an image, they put together a copy, anything, it has to do with the brand, right? I've been very meticulous about creating that brand over a 3-4 year period, right? And the same thing with you. So if you don't own your own website, you don't have control of the number one thing that represents who you are. So I want to step back, and I'm going to give you the 5 reasons in just a minute, but I want to step back and I want to just give you an example because everybody can equate to a physical store, right? When you go into a physical store, what do you see? You see the name of the store on the outside of the building, right? You maybe even see the name of the store on a moniker or a marquee in the parking lot, right? But you can see the name of the store, right? And in the front of the store is some imagery, right? They have something, maybe they have letters on their window. Maybe if it's a clothing store, they have mannequins to show you the kind of stuff that they have, right? It's a window into their world, right? So when we opened our barbershop some many years ago, right? It was about the physical presence that we could create so that people could see us from afar when they're driving up on us, right? Your website is your digital window into you, right? So if you don't have that digital window into you, when somebody is looking for a destination wedding, what is the first thing that they're probably doing? They're Googling destination wedding, right? So I always say 90% of you all probably have a website, maybe you have it published, but have you even put it on Google, right? Have you registered your travel agency with Google with your description so that when people are looking for that particular niche, that you start to come up, right? That's important as well, right? So your website is the confirmation to people that are looking for your services that you're the right person, right? So it's your digital storefront. That's what I love to call it, right? I would have never opened up our barbershop. I would never open up a physical building without putting a front storefront on it, without putting a name on the building, right? Without doing something with the windows, with the doors, right? So people can know that when they walk in, that they're in a barbershop, that, this is how people know that I'm here, right? Same thing with your website, right? Not having a website means you don't have a digital presence unless you're letting someone else control it, right? Maybe you're showing up as Instagram, maybe you're showing up in Facebook, right? But what if any of those things go down, right? It's not likely that they would, but what if they do? Facebook is unavailable. I remember last year, Facebook went down 3 times, and I'm talking like the times that it went down, it was like several hours. So, you're trying to get on your group, you're trying to do, whatever it is that you're doing, and you can't get on, right? People can always get to your website if you're hosting in a proper place, right? They can always get to your website. They can always get your information. What if you do something to piss Facebook off and you get banned? Has anyone ever been in Facebook jail? I will have to say, I do not believe that I've ever been in Facebook jail, but I know many people who have been in Facebook jail, right? Facebook controls if you can use their platform or not, right? It's a great platform, but don't piss them off, right? If you piss them off, they'll put you in jail and they'll ban you from being able to use the account, right? But can you still communicate with your customers because you've done the due diligence to capture your customer information? Your website allows you to do that and allows you to capture that email address, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute, all right? Let me know if this is making sense to you guys, right? Is it making sense that you need to have a digital presence, right? You guys are online businesses. You don't have storefronts. You don't have, some place that somebody can walk by, right? People are walking by you digitally. And if you're not there, then they're not walking by you, right? They're walking to your competitors. They're walking to people who've taken the time to make their digital presence known and available in searches, right? And the first way to do that is by registering a domain and hosting a website, right? Is that immediately when you do that, you become searchable by the search engines, right? And that's what you want to do. All right, so that's good. I'm getting some yeses, so that's great. I'm glad. I want to make sure that we are staying connected in this because it's really important. Because many people will tell you when you first start a business that you don't need a website. And it's true. You don't need a website day one. Like, you can make money in a business without having a website. If you already have some warm traffic and you already have some referrals and you have a way to take, payments, you can make money without having a website. It's been done and it'll continue to be done. But if you're really in this game and you're really trying to create a brand and you're really trying to hit 6 figures, you need to have a digital presence, right? Again, you guys are not physical brick and mortar businesses, you're online businesses. So that means you need to have an online presence and you need to control that presence. So this is what we're going to talk about, the 5 reasons why you need to have a website. And the first one is to control your brand, right? When I tell you I'm meticulous about my brand, we've gone through like 3 brand changes since I've started online. I never really thought about online brand changes until I started like 100% being online. So I wanted, the first time I didn't really, I did it myself and I was like, I can do this. Like, I know how to do graphics. I can do this myself. I don't need anybody. Then I hired a graphic artist and she changed my life. And I was like, yeah, I need a graphic person. She was able to put in imagery what was in my head that I couldn't get out of my head. And a good graphic artist will be able to do that, right? Your brand speaks to who you are and the experience that you want. And you may say from a travel perspective, that doesn't matter, right? I sell travel. Like, all I need to do is throw some travel pictures and I'm good, right? But the problem with that is that doesn't make you stand out from the rest. So if you're using, even one of the host agencies that I recommend, Outside Agents, they give you this website and it's pretty graphically, it's cool. It's got some really nice travel pictures on it. It's laid out really nice, but it's not special, right? It doesn't speak to what my specialty is. It doesn't speak to what it is that I do and what my superpower is in this industry, right? And that's what you want your messaging to be. Again, if I tell you that your number one purpose for having a website is to introduce yourself to strangers, right? And you've got the same generic, tired ass, travel vacation pictures and beach pictures that everybody else in the industry has, how is that setting you apart from your competitors? How is that making somebody want to click and learn more about you? How is that confirming to the person that's landed on your page that they're in the right space? Guarantee you that whoever is looking for you is not generically looking for a travel agent. They have a specific travel need that they have in mind. And if you fulfill that, you want to be speaking to them with your website, right? So what I mean by that is if I am looking, and I like destination weddings because everybody can understand that, right? Somebody who wants a destination wedding, when they Google destination wedding, like you need to be in the top 10, right? You need to be you have spit out so much content. And I don't mean that you're going to spend all your life spitting out content, but that you have done such a good job of creating a digital presence around the destination wedding specialty, that your name is popping up all over the place, right? That means that you are known for destination weddings and that you're popping up. And if you aren't doing that or you're not popping up, you've got some work to do, right? The message out of today's live is not necessarily that you need only a website, but that you really need a digital presence, and your website is the first step in getting that presence, right? So control the brand. The brand represents who you are, what you stand for, what your niche is, everything that is fill in the blank your business, right? Everything that is Sundey Gardner is represented in my brand and represented on my website, and everything else that you interact with me. Same thing with you. So somebody asked, I refer a graphic person and a logo? Yes, actually I can. So I'll give that referral to you guys at the end. But you understand what I'm saying? Let me know if this again is making sense, because I always like to make sure. So control the brand. And I'm not talking about controlling just colors. I'm not just talking about the ability to upload your logo. That's not your brand. Those are components of your brand, but that is not your brand, right? If you can't control the message, what is on your website, you're not controlling your brand. If you have to comply with the restrictions of somebody's defined layout, that is not your brand. If you have to comply to somebody else's restrictions on what you can and cannot post, how you put that and how you want to represent that, that is not controlling your brand, okay? So I want to make sure that you're super clear. Your brand is not just your colors and your logo. Your brand represents the vision for your company, represented through imagery. Imagery is part of that, but your brand really is about your vision, right? What is the experience? What do you want people to feel when they look at your stuff, right? That's your brand. So website, really instrumental in that, right? Digital storefront, I want you to think about that. You may not be selling clothes, you may not be selling retail, but you are selling a service, right? And that service has a specialty and has expertise around that, and that is what you're delivering, right? So number one, you want your own website to be able to control the brand. And number two is you want to be able to control the experience. If I tell you that the brand is about defining the experience, you want to be able to control the experience, right? You want to be able to get people to do what you want them to do when they hit your website, right? When people hit my website, I want them to download my guide. That's evident. Like there's no getting around it, right? It's the first thing you see when you go to Sundey.com. First, like half of the page is, get my guide, click on my guide, right? 90% of my guide traffic from my website comes from that homepage, right? You need to be able to control the experience. If you don't want people booking without a discovery call, then you don't want to be putting booking buttons all over the place, right? Although it may seem like a great idea to have somebody book you and you don't know who they are, what if they're not right client, right? All money's not good money, right? You want to be able to control the experience. Now, granted, you may want people to search without you, and you want them to do certain activities like that, but you want to guide them to that. I don't want anybody searching for my inventory and I don't have a way to contact them, right? I don't want them access to the goods that are Sunday without me being able to contact them. So that's why I'm trying to get email information. I'm trying to get an exchange happening. I want an exchange happening before they get anything from me. And in your travel business, it should be the same thing, right? Don't let them search your inventory of suppliers and availability without getting that asset, right? You want to be able to introduce yourself and continue that relationship, right? Maybe they didn't find what they're looking for. Maybe they don't know how to really even search for what they're looking for. Wouldn't you want to have that conversation with them? Wouldn't you want to be able to have a talk with them and ask them, really, what is it? I saw that you were looking, but you already captured their email address, right? You want to be able to do that. So you want to be able to control the experience, control how people get information from you, because what you have is gold. Your information is gold. You are not Expedia.com. You are not Travelocity.com, right? You are not just spitting out quotes. You're not just spitting out information. You have knowledge, you have experience, you have special relationships, you have perks, you have things that they can't get by themselves. So don't give it away for free. All right, so number 2 is controlled experience. Number 3 is I want you to centralize your information. Now, I want you to think about this. I have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, God knows how many different sales pages I've got. I've got ManyChat now. I've got all these ways that people can find me. Everything leads back to my site. Everything leads back to my site. And every click that somebody is making to Sunday has some connection to Sundey.com, right? So I'm not only able to control the experience, I'm able to get everybody back to my home base, right? So the number one reason to use Facebook is because you want to socialize, but you want them off the platform into your world. And your world is your website, right? Or, you want to be able to get them into your world, right? Get that email address, get that piece of contact information, and then maybe bring them back to Facebook, right? But the objective is for you to get their contact information so that you can have relationships with them, right? You can have conversations with them and that you can get to know who they are and see if they're a right fit. So ultimately you can see if there is a good opportunity for a union, right? You want to see are they a right fit for what you do, and can you provide an amazing service to them, and will they pay for it, right? That is your objective. So you want to be able to control that, and you want to be able to have all of your information centralized in one place, right? So it's really important that everything comes back to home base, which is your website. So Facebook, Instagram, all these social media accounts, all that I have that's around the sort of ecosystem, the hub of that is the website, right? Everything spurs from my website or comes back to my website. So if it originates outside of the website, I'm trying to get them on my website to get my contact information, get their contact information so that I can continue the relationship and get them into one of many different funnels that I've got. Hopefully that really resonates for you, is that you want to centralize where people can get you, and you want to be able to control that. God forbid you're with the host agency and you decide to switch tomorrow, right? And you've been giving out, sundeygardner.intellitravel.com, right? Or fill in the blank hostagency.com, and you decide to change host agencies, right? Or they go down or something happens, right? And now you've got that all over the world. As long as you pay your annual domain fee, you're going to have your domain. But again, that's in your control, right? It's not externally owned. That's what you want to do. Okay, number 4 is, we've talked about this, digital storefront. It is your digital storefront. You do not want to not have a storefront. You don't open your business and not let people have an ability to find you, right? And what you don't want is that ability to find you to be controlled by another third party, right? So, and what I mean by that is, let's say some of you may be using TravelJoy, and TravelJoy, they have a website, right? But it's still sundeygardner.traveljoy.com, right? Well, what if I change that and it's something else, and I change that vendor to something else? You do not want your number one digital asset to be controlled by somebody else. You want to control that. Tammy says her website is horrible and she's going to work on that tonight. So good. April says that this is good, and I'm glad. I'm hoping that this is hitting home for you guys, right? So put in the comments, one, if you feel like your digital storefront is good, like it represents who you are. Put 0 if it's not so good, right? It needs some work, and that maybe you don't have it, or it needs some work, right? And let me tell you, I'm going to give you some, for those who have 0s and who are not where you should be. I'm going to give you some alternatives and some things to do in the interim. Okay. So I'm not going to leave you by yourself. All right. So then the very last 5th reason for you to have your website, your own website, is that it allows you to track your numbers. Right. And so what do I mean by that? Like, what do I need to track? Right. Right. I'm seeing some 0s. Right. So that means you need some work. Right. Which is okay, because that's what, it took me, I remember when I first started, I probably had, I always, like, immediately I got sundeygardner.com locked down. But like, I just bought a URL today. Because I just changed the name of our group, and we are now Travel Boss Group, right? So I just got that URL today. So, every single time I come up with a name, I lock the URL down, right? That's like my number first thing I do, right? Because I want to be in control of it. I don't want anybody to get Travel Boss Group, right? Because that's the name of our group. That's mine, right? So I lock it down. Same thing for you. So when I talk about numbers, you may be thinking, well, what kind of numbers do I need to really care about when it comes to my website? Well, traffic, right? How many people are hitting your pages? How many people are bouncing off your page, right? So maybe you are paying for traffic. Maybe you do Facebook ads. Maybe you have a blog and you've got people who are going to your blog, and maybe you're doing Pinterest and people are coming to your blogs or coming to your different pages, and you want to see how successful those pages are getting people to move around and go to the experience that you want. So if my number one job in having a website is to get an email address, right, is for them to download my guide, I want to see how effective I am on that, right? I want to see how much traffic is hitting that page, that homepage, where that's the first introduction of who I am. I want to see how many people are hitting that page. And then from there, how many downloads am I getting, right? And I can track that on my website, right? There's code that's on each page of my website that have different meanings that allow me to track how successful that page is. When I have a opt-in page, right, you guys download something. I don't ever give you anything where you don't give me your email address, right? So we can continue the conversation about whatever it is that you're going to download from me. Same thing with you guys, right? You guys are giving away all your travel information. I know you are, because you don't have a lead page, right? You're not capturing leads. You're probably managing leads on the back end, right? Once somebody books traffic with you, that's how you're leading. But what about all the strangers that have hit your site right now, and you're not capturing that traffic, right? If you don't own that website, you can't even count how many people have hit that site. Your host agency can only do that, right? You don't control your ability to understand your own numbers, right? That is the 5th reason is, I'm going to tell you, in your business, your numbers should drive 99% of your decisions. If you don't have numbers and you're just driving aimlessly, that's what you're doing. You're driving aimlessly. You don't have any idea of what you're doing, if it's successful or not. You're just hoping it's just going to hit, it's going to make the mark, it's going to hit the goal, and you don't know because you're not tracking anything, right? So when it comes to your website, the one important thing that you want to do is you want to understand the traffic that's hitting your website and the types of activities that you want people to do on your website. How well is that happening? How many transactions are you having if you have transaction pages on your site, right? How many leads are you getting? How many people are hitting your site? How many people are bouncing off your site in 2.5 seconds, and they're not going and looking at anything else, right? You need to understand what those metrics are, and you need to be able to put the kind of tracking mechanisms that allow you to understand those metrics, right? Again, I don't expect that you know all of this today, but I want you to be moving in that right direction. All right, so those are 5 reasons why. So I promised you, if you already had a website and you maybe it's not where you need to be, what are some things that you can do to get there and get there quickly? All right, so you don't have to have a full-fledged website, meaning you have 16 pages, you got all these images, you got all these packages to find. if you're not there yet, and most of you guys who are new are probably not there yet, right? You've just started, maybe you've been in business for 6 to 12 months. Maybe you're not selling consistently and you don't even know what to put on your website. The one thing that you need to have beyond having a fully defined website is a way to capture email addresses, right? You want an ability to capture email addresses. So that means you need to have a stranger offer. And you're like, well, what the heck's a stranger offer, right? I'm going to tag you. If you don't know what a stranger offer is, put stranger offer in the comments and I will tag you on a video that lets you know exactly what a stranger offer is, that goes into the whole ARC process and what you need to do to get a stranger offer. If you don't have a full website, you're not ready, you don't know what to put on there, you need a way to capture email address and say, hey, I am, Susie Q. I am the destination wedding specialist and I got this free thing for you. And boom, I want you to download it, right? Capture that email address. That's the minimum thing that you should have and implement immediately if you have that URL. If you don't have the full-fledged, if you don't have the full-fledged website ready to go, and maybe you're still, trying to figure out what you should put on the page, you need a stranger offer, and you need a way to connect that stranger offer to your domain so that you can offer it when people hit your website, right? That's number one. Stranger offer is the exchange of information, right? So I'm getting a lot of people who don't know what a stranger offer is. So, okay, I'm going to give you a little hint just because you probably have heard it by another name, an opt-in, a lead magnet. And if you don't have that, you don't have something that someone will exchange that for their email address, you need a stranger offer. I call it a stranger offer because, again, it's a way for me to introduce myself to a stranger and let them confirm that they're in the right place, that I am the solution for whatever it is, that problem that I'm trying to solve in the stranger offer. So I will tag you guys in my stranger offer training that I did. I'll tag you in that so that you can get familiar with that. Because if you don't have a full website, you need to have a stranger offer in place so that you can get your email address from people. All right. That's number one to do if you don't do that, if you don't have a full website. The other thing that you want to be able to be thinking about is, okay, so that's all. I'm going to stop. I'm going to breathe just a second because I want to make sure that this sinks in. That is the one thing I want you to do and I want you to think about is what can you offer based on your travel niche that you can offer to somebody to get their email address, because that's the objective. What can you do? If you don't know how to do that, there's a lot of people saying, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so we're going to get you some training on that. That's the purpose of your website, is to do that introduction, right? Is to get people to introduce so that you can do that introduction. Once we get that introduction and you're tracking that and you're getting that, then you can worry about getting a full website, right? You can worry about getting all the website. But if, let's say you're past that, and those people who've been around a little bit longer and they're past that, maybe, they've got a stranger offer, they've already got their website. Let's just confirm some other things that you need to be doing with your website. So the number two thing is, after the introduction, is that you want to consolidate the message and you want to legitimize that the person is in the right space. So that home page that you have needs to do that. I don't want a bunch of junk on your homepage. I don't want a bunch, and I don't mean to insult anybody by saying that, but I don't want a bunch of, packages and all this other stuff on your homepage. I just want you to confirm, hey, you're the expert in fill in the blank niche, right? I am the person, right? Or here's your problem and I'm your person. That's what your homepage needs to do. And it also needs to offer your stranger offer, right? So your homepage needs to be that, hey, you've got this problem and by golly, I'm the one to fix it, right? I am the solution to the problem that you have. So usually on that homepage, I'll have a quote that, resonates with the problem that my client has, right? So let's use an example. Let's say I'm in the destination wedding space, and the thing is that you want to get away for your wedding, right? Well, let me tell you how I can help you with that, right? That's kind of the messaging that you want that homepage to do, right? So your homepage needs to legitimize for your prospective client, that stranger, that they're in the right place, right? Does that make sense to everyone? Homepage legitimizes that the person has landed in the right space, right? Because again, when people are searching for fill in the blank, right, and whatever it is, and your link comes up, your website comes up, and they click on it, you don't want to have something that's not going to confirm that they made the right decision by clicking on you, and then they want to investigate more, right? So even a video that introduces yourself and introduces your brand and why you are the bomb, the bomb.com in the wedding space, right? Destination wedding space and planning space, and why they don't want to do it themselves, right? You immediately are dispelling some of the things that they're concerned about, right? That homepage is that confirmation, right? It's the introduction. So the homepage has the introduction offer, and then it also confirms, hey, you're in the right space. I solved your problem, right? All right. So, and then the number 3 is, let's see, I can't even read my own notes. That's pretty bad. Transactions. Number 3 is transactions. So what kind of transactions do you want to happen? Do you want services? Like, do you want them to know what your service menu is? Do you want them to book discovery calls? Do you want them to book packages, right? This is really for the advanced travel agency or travel agent who's already done all that late work, right? They already have their stranger offer defined. They're already offering that up, right? And they've got their business processes defined and they're ready for transactions, right? Your website is a central location to get those transactions, right? Don't send them to a link to Calendly. Send them to your website that, has Calendly embedded inside of it, right? Again, you want that to be the central hub, right? So if you've got transactions that you want to have occur, have it centralized to your website, right? Have it embedded or part of your website. So again, transactions can be money transactions, exchange of information transactions, right? Call to action, right? So booking a discovery call, getting information about a discovery call, opting into your offers, reading your blogs, buying your products, right? Those are all transactions, right? So your website would have transactional type of pages on there. So types of transactional pages are service page that identifies a list of your services. If you put your fee structure on there, right? And then how to book into opting into those services. If you sell group packages or packages and you want to have package information, I don't recommend having packages on your homepage. Many people do, but I don't recommend having packages on your homepage. And the reason I don't is because 90% of the people that come to your site are not ready to buy. They're ready to look around. So what you want to do is you want to get their contact information so you can continue the conversation. Most people who go to a website are not ready to buy. They're coming to your site to validate who you are, to see if you're not some, fly-by-night business, 2, to confirm that you are who you say you are, right? And, I want to lead someone down the packages line, right? And I want to get their email address and then, maybe ask them what type of packages there are. And then based on that, then I would show them, options. But, just having a generic, package page on your homepage, I don't recommend that. I recommend having that, in a second or third level layer after I know that they're in the right place. Again, I don't want to give them all my goods until I know that they're the right person for me, right? This is a 2-way communication. And believe you me, you're not losing clients if you structure your site according to the experience that you want to have. Okay. All right. So we went over a lot of stuff today, right? You guys have any questions? Does this all make sense? Always got to look at the comments down, and yes, because I can see them to the right of me, but some people don't have their names, so I don't know. So what I got out of this, like what I'd love to get from you guys in the comments is what did you get out of this, and like what kind of changes you may need to make, right? But what I got out of this is that there are a lot of people who don't know what a stranger offer is. I gave you another definition, which you may have heard of, which is a lead magnet or a opt-in. What I'm looking for is to get as many of you educated in the concept of having a stranger offer, right? And because that stranger offer is your attraction mechanism. And in order to do a stranger offer, you really have to know your niche and you really have to know who your market is, right? So I'm going to get you guys some training, some additional training for all those people who put that there. so that you can be able to start to get prepared for that. All right, so Davida asks, for the stranger offer, do you ask for their phone number, or do you find that people only enter their email? So what's interesting is that, with the new Information Act, I can't even remember the name of it. Like, I'm so bad with names. It doesn't matter if, acts, laws, or whatever, right? So the big Information Act, where you got to, have it everywhere. Come on, guys, what is that called? So it was a big thing that it starts with a G. It just totally has left me at my mind. I should know the name of it. You have to be very specific about what you intend to use that information for. So this is how I feel about phone numbers. If you're not going to use the phone number, don't capture it, right? If you are going to use the phone number, meaning you're going to text them, you're going to use some SMS marketing, and you let them know that, then I think it's fine. But I find that people will give their phone number. I do find that people will give their phone number, because I think that people realize now that they do like to get notified via text. They do. I don't like people to leave a voicemail. I don't even respond to voicemail. So if you ever get my phone number and you leave me a voicemail, I'm not going to respond, because I don't listen to voicemail. So either text me or email me. I mean, email is probably the worst resort. Text me is the number one way to get in contact with me. But, I capture email, and I probably need to really reconsider this, because my intention was originally, when we first started our opt-in pages, it was to actually pick up the phone and call people, because people don't get phone calls about businesses and services anymore. They get a lot of telemarketing phone calls, but they don't get phone calls. So my intention was to call people and to discuss their travel needs and all that. But time has not been on my side. So we've opted with email marketing, which is our number one way to start the relationship. It's actually our number two way to start the relationship. Our one way to start their relationship is to capture an email and to get them into a Facebook group like this. Is to capture an email, get you into a Facebook group, because I know this is where I do my heavy relationship building exercises in my groups, and that's been the case since day one. I started online business in 2016, and from 2016 till now, my number one way to build relationships has been through Facebook groups. So again, some of the questions, I have a lead page, but I have been debating with getting a website, and I'm definitely going to go on and get my website for sure. So, here's one of the things to consider. And I think that's a really good comment, April. I'm going to show this comment, because I think a lot of people have this misunderstanding of what is a website versus a lead page, right? And, at this point, April, you don't need your website as much as I'd like you to have that lead page published, and you can, connect your lead page to your website. I'd rather you focus on doing that than getting a full-fledged website. What I do want you to do is to have your domain URL locked down, which I think you said you already do. So I want you to have your lead page connected to your domain. So if it's, let's say it's, sassy.com, right? And you've got a lead magnet to download your free fill in the blank, right? So make it sassy.com/guide, right? Or whatever the name of the guide is, right? So at least that's still within your control. And even if you're using a lead page software like ClickFunnels or Lead Pages or any of the other lead page software, there's a way for you to connect your domain to your lead page. You still, at the end of the day, do not want to be sending anybody to, sundaygardner.clickfunnels.com, right? ClickFunnels is the name of the company. So if I decide to stop using ClickFunnels, then I've got to change all those URLs out if I'm in and out, if I'm running ads or whatever. So again, lead page is my number one thing I would want you guys to have connected to your domain. And that could just be a one pager, right? So making sure that you have a way to successfully introduce yourself to strangers, collect their email address, continue the conversation, right? That's the process I want you to take away from today. All right, so somebody wrote, is there liability with personal information? So, possessing personal information. So when you say liability, what do you mean? So this act, I can't think of the name of. It's not GARM. I can't think of it. Starts with a G. I feel like such a blonde girl today. But there's an information law that was passed, I want to say 2 years ago, if not last year, which says that you have to be really responsible with people's personal information. You can't like collect phone numbers, never use it, and then 2 months later start spamming them with your phone, right? It's really about digital information, and so you have to have language in your terms of conditions that protect your company from and indicate to the customer that you're not going to misuse their information. It's really for international people. So if you're doing business internationally, you really have to. And I am so sorry, I cannot remember the name of this this piece of legislation that you need to have. But I'll ping you guys in my replay notes as to what the name of this. It starts with the G, and it's just like and nobody knows what I'm talking about. So, in terms of personal information, you cannot misuse people's personal information. You cannot use it. You cannot gather it and then use it for something else. So you have to be very specific when you are gathering email address. You have to be very specific as to what you're going to be using it for. So there's a little piece of text that you need to put when you're gathering someone's information, and your terms of condition online need to ensure that you identify what you're doing with that information. Like you're not selling it, you're not doing it, but that's really, once you have that locked down, you're good. So I'm looking at the notes. And so April, you said that you have legal verbiage in your, you need legal verbiage in your terms of condition to ask for personal information. It's not that you need legal verbiage to ask for personal information. You need verbiage in your terms of condition that says what you will do with the personal information, right? And it's for the purposes of marketing or contacting them to give the information. Like you can't switch and say that you're getting this download and then try to start selling them a car, right? Like you've got to be very clear about what you're going to be giving that person in terms of, and you've got to be doing it rather like in a normal course of doing business, meaning you can't capture somebody's information. And that really, this really deals, Europe is the one that came up with the law. GLBA, that doesn't sound like it, but I think we're on the right term. It's not coming to me, but the idea is that you have to collect the information and utilize it for the purpose for which you collected it for. You can't switch and bait people. You can't spam them. You can't. And spam is kind of loosely defined. I mean, it's defined. Like you can't be like sending people 1,000 messages a day, right? Over just, you need to provide value, right? So I will get you the term that I cannot remember what the name of it is. Because I was all in hoopla when it came out, but then once I get all the terms and conditions, it was fine. And again, what it made me think about is that you've got to be very clear about your communication to people. The usage, right? So if you collect phone numbers and you don't ever use the phone number, and then 6 to 8 months later you start using the phone number to start texting them out of the blue, they're not expecting that, right? Because you collected their phone number 6 months ago and they have no idea who you are, why you're contacting them, and it appears to be spammy, right? So again, you collect the information, use the information, don't misuse it, don't sell it, don't do crazy kind of stuff like that. Okay. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. So actions added today are stranger offer, get at least one page, get your domain, right? So for those who don't have a domain, get your domain. If you need a domain, put in the comments domain, and then I will get you a link also for that. So I've got a couple of links that I'm going to give you guys to help you out today. So it's stranger offer, domain are the major two things that you want to get out of today's training is that you want to have some way to introduce yourself to your strangers, right? A one-pager will do it. That introduction will be, here, I've got this thing that I know that will solve your problem. Give me your email address in exchange for that thing, right? That's what that one-pager will do. right? If you don't have a domain, if you don't have your website ready to go, you don't have pages and all that. If you do have a website and you're ready to go, the things that you want to do on your website is you want to have a home page that introduces yourself, confirms that people are in the right place, right? And then you talk about who you are and how you uniquely solve their problems, right? That's what the about page is. And then transactions would be the second thing that you would have. So a services page, a way for people to book calls with you, maybe packages if that's something that you are having. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully it dispelled some of the things that make understanding a domain or website helps make it clear. Let me know if you have any questions. If you catch this in the replay and you are like, I have a question, just post it inside of this live that you're watching and I'll reply. All right. So Sharon says, I got a lot of stranger offers. So it seems like a lot of you're in the travel business and you have no way to introduce yourself to strangers. We want to fix that. That is a critical thing that you need to do. And, I'm going to take just a little sidebar here and tell you why it's so critical, right? So the training that I've got will go into this a little bit more deeper. But the reason why it's so critical is because, I don't spend a lot of time hitting the pavement, meeting people in person, right? I don't have the bandwidth and I don't have the time to do that, right? So what a stranger offer allows you to do is digitally introduce yourself to people and do that exchange of information, right? You're going to give them something of value. They're going to give you your email address and you're going to continue that conversation via email, right? That's what the stranger offer does, right? Another stranger offer is, hey, come into my Facebook group because that's where all the mods is happening, right? So, you offer up your Facebook group as a way for people to connect and that you have information. And then you're getting people into your Facebook group so you can start the relationship. Whatever that stranger offer is, it's about online introduction of you to your ideal client. All right. So that's why it's so important. We want to be having conversations and we want to be having lots of them. And a stranger offer allows that, hey, let's go have a cup of coffee type of introduction. All right. So with that, ladies and gents, I will let you go. And I hope that you have a great day, evening. Tune in next week, next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about COVID and what I have learned from COVID as an entrepreneur. I think this is going to be really juicy because there's a lot that I have learned in this pandemic as it relates to being an entrepreneur. So I would love for you to tune in. I'll be sending out reminders. With that, you all have a great evening and I will talk to you soon. Bye.